in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. Well, we need to do everything that we can to empower ourselves and to really come alive, to wake up and come alive in our business as well as in our life, in our relationships, in all areas. And today's expert is a real mentor and a real leader in the area of helping women to come alive. And I'm speaking with Jennifer Lamprey. Jen is the CEO of Quickening, Incorporated. She is a coaching, certification, and business development expert, mainly helping women who are working from home. She's run women's masterminds in San Diego. She's created mindset performance programs for top athletes, and she's helped thousands of women to heal. So, Jennifer, it's a real pleasure to have you on Rebelpreneur Radio. Welcome.
Thanks. I appreciate being here. It's fun and exciting to be able to chat.
Yeah, and you're joining us from beautiful San Diego. I
know. I wish I could say sunny San Diego, but I can say rainy San Diego right now.
Yeah. Well, it's where everybody wants to be today. It's nice and comfortable out there.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So I want to hear more about the idea behind your business, Quickening Incorporated. But before we get into that and the vision that you have for helping women to heal, tell us a little bit more about your story, your journey, and what got you heading in this direction.
Well, thanks for asking. So there's been a lot of different things. I literally do. It's like I've lived 9 lives already, and I'm sure many people can say that. I'm in my mid-40s, so I've been to a lot of different places in my life. But for my business and what I'm doing now with women, I really can say it probably start talking about when I was, I started working in the pornography addiction recovery arena. And the reason I started working in that space is I just found that there were a lot of women that were coming to me and friends and stuff that were talking about these problems they were having with their husbands and friends and things. And this was back in 2000 or a little bit before. And so there was no support that anyone was getting. There wasn't anything really out there. There were a couple different books. And so I just found this problem was getting bigger and bigger. And I noticed some specific things with women that they were dealing with. And I was seeing it just growing. Women were not having the ability or the empowerment to go out and start working, or they were scared to leave, the situation they were in because maybe it was very abusive or that kind of thing. So it started getting me going. And then I actually married a man who was addicted to pornography. So we ended up going into recovery and learning the system there. So that was actually a whole nother level of learning that I got to go into.
So you got to experience the issue from both sides, didn't you?
I did. It was, I look at it now, and of course I'm just so grateful for it, because there is no way I would have the kind of knowledge I have and the ability to help women at such a deep level without this experience with my husband. And he's also coaching and helping with men, with this addiction. And so he's out there doing that work also. And we speak to different leaders and in organizations and communities, and we've done that in the past. That's part of one of my lives. So just this process really got me more engaged with women at such a deep level, like the real issues that women are going through and the fears that a lot of women deal with, more women than I really thought was going on. So I delved into that. And so when I was going through my marriage and just got married, and I noticed the first couple of years I was kind of turning into that kind of scared woman. I was confused, and we were not making a lot of money, and there was just a lot of fears and a lot of things that were not really too positive. And so I just jumped out and started a women's mastermind here in Carlsbad. And it was it was one of the scariest things I'd ever done because of the situation I was in. It was like totally going against the grain. So I started working with women that were wanting to start businesses or had been doing businesses, and we just really were supporting one another. It was more a mastermind kind of in that we would have, we called them hot seats, and we would support each other's businesses, building it. We would help market it. We would just do this there were 12 of us. And so through that, and then through the pornography recovery, I started seeing these correlations with women in business and then in relationships and these type of relationships. And there was a lot of, kind of same issues. And I noticed when there was something cleared up in the recovery world, or, when women were dealing with that business, or them going forward and making money would start shifting. And then women who were working in getting their businesses stronger, they would start having better relationships. And it was just this crazy correlation.
It's all connected, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very holistic. When we feel better, we do better. And when our business is working the way it should, it seems like other things work. And, there is a lot of correlation going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you begin to make these connections. Tell us a little bit more about the type of women that you're helping. It's entrepreneurial and they're working from home, but who is your ideal client? Who benefits the most from what you do?
Well, I'd say over the years of, as I said, working through that and finding who I really wanted to work with, and also systems. I was just always researching and attempting to find systems and tools and things that would work, and combining different ones to really support the woman that I loved working with. And it ended up being, usually it was a stay-at-home mom, a mom who wasn't going out and maybe working in corporate, but somebody who was at home, who was really dedicated to her kids, usually is married. I've obviously had a lot of different types of clients, but that seems to be the woman that I love working with the most, and that we gel, because I can also help with those specific things that you're dealing with as you're wanting to start a business. These pieces start coming in around how do you, juggle time with business and your kids, and how do you still give your kids all that you want and need while you're giving your business all you want and need. And I noticed there was a real big issue with, which sounds kind of interesting and weird, but almost like identity that was happening. And this identity that you could be both a business owner and a mother and wife and stay-at-home mom. And so really working with women that are very strong, that have purpose, that have a clear understanding that they want to move forward and be self-reliant and self-sufficient, but still be contributing to their family, and the husband's contributing, for her. And they're just having this beautiful kind of dance. It was like a dance between each other that, you can rely on one another, and there's trust, and there's this beautiful relationship going on while you're building this amazing supportive business. It's making some decent money. So,
yeah. And so the message is that women do not have to be typecast into one particular identity, but they can do something that is fulfilling, building a business, running the business, and they don't have to sacrifice their family and their children and the other things that are important, that you help them to find a way to create an identity that is cohesive, holistic, and they can do whatever they want to do. You can help them create that mindset.
Yeah, that's definitely what, and that's really what, so there's two pieces. One is I say bringing home into business instead of bringing business into your home, or, becoming business owners. It's more about, as women, if we can utilize those pieces of us as women that are so wonderful and supportive in our homes, and if we know that we can bring them into business, like, for instance, nurture, love, or collaboration, these kind of things that are natural for us, as a mother and a wife. When you start bringing those elements into business, it really helps us to integrate business into our lives, where we're not fighting against ourselves, but we're actually able to create the money we want and still do, some of those hard things, but it doesn't make it as hard. It makes it a lot easier. And so I think that's probably the biggest piece, is that kind of bringing that feminine vibe into business.
Yeah. And instead of trying to train people or women specifically to do something that they're not comfortable doing, it's more about being who you are and seeing that as an asset, not as something that they have to change or conform to somebody else's idea of what they should be.
I think that was the biggest issue I was finding, both on the recovery side and also the entrepreneur side, is the women were always thinking they had to change themselves. And we're going to change, we're leveling up, or we're refining ourselves, but there was this deeper, I just need to be truly who I am in any situation. And that's why I'm saying the identity piece. It's like we're bringing back that understanding of what their identity is. And then they can just showcase that everywhere they go. Yeah. So yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah. So what, it sounds very invigorating, and I love the branding. I think I mentioned that to you in the invitation. I really love the idea of quickening, coming alive, which is a very powerful metaphor for what you do. So we've identified that identity, the identity crisis, is something that you really help women to resolve. Why do you think that is? What's the biggest barrier or the biggest obstacle that you have to overcome in order to get women to really accept that true identity of who they are?
Yeah. It's interesting because a lot of women think they have, the women that I work with, they think they've gotten a lot of that work done, but they just notice that the results aren't showing, or they're in overwhelm a lot, or they're still having a lot of confusion, and their path is there, but they just can't seem to really get on it and just move. And I think that the biggest thing, and it seems so simple, and is confidence. Is just when you start understanding your identity, when you start understanding how your mind works, when you understand how to use your emotions for powerful movement, that confidence builds. And I think when we say quickening, you're coming alive in your confidence. You're coming alive in your understanding of who you really are. So it just makes things so much easier. You're able to, when you have something that you're facing that's just crazy difficult, that usually you'd have to just put away until next month or next year, you can face it really fast. And that's what I've seen. We had a woman who has come in, and she was a very strong woman, had already done a lot of different programs, meaning she already had been a leader in her field. And there was just this missing link where it wasn't aligned with, the results that she was getting, financially, and even in her relationship with her spouse, wasn't correlating with what she knew she was. And so, as we work together, that's the shift that's been happening. And now she's getting the results she wants. Her husband and her are aligned and able to work together. And it's just been this huge shift. So confidence definitely increases like crazy.
Yeah. And I keep going back to that basic idea of clarity. When you're really clear about who you are, why you're here, where you're going, that clarity creates confidence. But if you're confused, it's hard to be confident, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the we work a lot with emotional intelligence, or emotional maturity, we call it, in our course. And usually our emotions are even confusion's an emotion. So when you start understanding your emotions, and you can basically like call an emotion out whenever you want, or not have your emotions dictate your existence in a negative way, that's really where I've seen huge and emotions actually is a very feminine natural thing that women lead in is emotion. So when a woman can get power and control of her emotions, really they're unstoppable. A woman is unstoppable when she can even do that one piece.
Wow,
So,
that's interesting that you refer to confusion as an emotion. I've not considered that. But if you do consider that confusion is an emotion, then what we're talking about is creating a state change, right?
Exactly.
If we're in a state of confusion or a feeling of confusion, we don't have to give in to that. We don't have to just say, well, it's like when people take ownership of their depression, my depression. It's like my cancer. No, it's a thing that's coming at you. It's not something that you have to accept. So you're saying confusion is an emotion. And if that's the case, we can change our state of mind. We can change our emotion, and we can tap into something that's more powerful. We don't just have to stay confused.
Yeah. And our biggest thing, we focus a lot. I focus a lot with our clients on the mental and emotional state, but the difference, I think, the tweak that we do is that we actually embrace our emotions, understand our emotions, know what is an emotion and where it is in the body, and we allow those emotions to move instead of pushing them away, especially women, because emotions are such a huge part of our existence, even hormonally, everything. When a woman can identify that she's feeling confused right now, and then you can move that confusion just by saying, I'm just going to feel confused. I'm just going to let myself feel it. Not think about it, but I'm going to feel it. What happens, the body naturally releases the emotion.
Okay. So there's like a lifespan to this confusion.
Exactly. And once you have that, then when you move an emotion that's keeping you trapped and stuck and tight, that's when our thinking gets clearer. We're able to think, and possibilities open up a little bit for us. Otherwise, we're stuck in that confusion. It creates all that it creates, or whatever those negative emotions create. Yeah.
Well, that's encouraging that at least confusion is not a permanent thing. But that's encouraging for me as well.
Good.
But I do hear people who frequently complain that they feel stuck, and it's like they're perpetually confused. So is there something that you can say to people who say, well, I just feel stuck, and I have felt confused for a long time. They don't feel like it's a passing emotion. Is there something they can do to begin to kind of snap out of that?
Well, if we're talking about confusion, there's a couple different ways to go about it. If you go about it emotionally and you think of confusion as an emotion, there's one way. If you think of confusion as an emotion, but you can do other things with your mind and your thinking that can cause you to move out of confusion if you're not going to choose the feel the emotion part. So I'll go with the one without feeling it, because there's a little bit more that you need to do to feel confusion. There's a few more steps and things that might take a little bit longer. But the first thing, and this is so basic, but my gosh, I can't tell you how many times. I mean, I've worked with thousands of women and men over the years, and I will tell you, this is like the number one thing. And even in our course, it is the first distinction. We do distinction-based learning, and it's the first distinction that you learn, and it's want versus don't want. It's super simple. And it's why it's the first out of 18 different distinctions, because want, when you get clear on what you want, that first step of really seeing what you want, right away you're on the right path. And a lot of times we think, oh, well, I know what I want, and maybe we did a little, sheet around it, or we told somebody that, but then we forget, days go by and weeks or months go by. And then now we're going back to habits of thinking what I don't want. Well, when you say what you don't want, right, you're probably going to get what you don't want. So the first step is just to get clear on what you truly want. And I will tell you, it's really interesting to talk to a woman on a call, maybe for the first time. And as I'm asking her questions, it's almost like pulling teeth to get to what she wants.
Yeah.
Literally. I'm like a dentist trying to extract something,
And look, Jennifer, you're not the only one. I mean, I'm a guy. There's guys out there, and their biggest mystery in life is trying to figure out what their wife wants, what their girlfriend wants, what their daughters want. We don't know. We don't have a clue. But then, then the curious thing is you sit down with a lady and you ask them what they want, and often they don't even know what they want. Why is that? Why is it so hard to define what people want?
Well, I'll tell you really just on a feminine space, because I do work in that space more. When you look at masculine, feminine, and whether you really, believe that or want to categorize, it's fine. But to give some context, the feminine is don't want, and the masculine is want.
Interesting.
So when you start playing around with this with women, especially, there's a conditioning that's happened for us to, and it's interesting when you start looking back in people's family history, or you talk to a woman and you hear how her life, how she's grown up. A lot of women have usually gone to what they don't want. Well, I don't want to have a man who does this, or I don't want to have this kind of job, or I don't want to have these kind of kids, or I don't want to have this kind of health. So there's almost like a natural or a habitual way of thinking where it really is a perception shift of going, okay, it's almost a natural now, because now you're like, this feels really weird to say what I want.
I'm not used to saying what I want.
Yeah, I'm not. And again, I know men and women both do this, but so to even have a woman or a man saying what they want, really when you start saying what you want, responsibility starts kicking in. Right? So I think a lot of people are just used to maybe playing kind of in the victim role, or they've been in a situation where they've just, been conditioned into situations now. So they're just so used to it. So when I'm talking to somebody and all of a sudden a light goes off and you get finally to the extraction and you get to what they want, they're like, holy freak, like that's been there this whole time.
Yeah.
And it connects them. So once they get clear with that want, the next step then that I have to do with people usually is just go, okay, how willing are you to get what you want? Like, let's really look at the scale, 1 to 10. And it's really interesting because very few people, which kind of makes me sad to be honest, say 10. First of all, they're just getting connected with their wants. So that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But then even those that are connected to their want, it's almost like there's almost a hopelessness or a disheartened experience that's happening for them that they don't even think they can get what they want.
Yeah.
So that's the next step. Just get clear on what you want. Check out how willing you are to do it or get it. And then
will that improve the more they become comfortable? Going back to the original idea of you got to know who you are. You got to know your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who is able to want something, and then has increased self-efficacy or increased ability, belief in oneself to achieve what they want, and they become more willing the more capable they feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And that's why this what I'm talking about with this very simple thing of getting to what you want, it may sound so simple and everybody's like, oh, I've heard that before. But when you really honestly start practicing this consistently and even daily, and even sometimes 3 times a day or in different situations or experiences, that's where your identity starts getting stronger. It's a really simple way to get your identity stronger.
Yeah, I love that. So the first step you said is get clear about wanting versus don't want. And then the second step was to ask, how willing are you? Now that you've figured out what you want, how willing are you? How invested are you? Is there a third step? Yeah,
the third step would be, and this is, again, what I do with most people just to get started, is you have to kind of foresee you need to foresee at least 1 or 2 or 3 obstacles that'll be in your way to get what you want. So when I say obstacles, I can, as an example, one of the obstacles I just had with one of my coaches this morning when I was on the phone, her obstacle is her relationship, and specifically there's a certain asking her husband for what she wants. So that's an obstacle for her. And it's an obstacle that's come up so much that it's kept her from getting what she wants.
Interesting.
So when you identify that obstacle, then we have all this work to do with that. But at least you can start identifying those obstacles that might be in your way. And then you can create a plan to support you when those obstacles come up, or to get aware when those obstacles are right in front of you.
That is really such a brilliant approach. And the reason it's so powerful is because when you identify the obstacle, and you usually don't have to look very far to find what those obstacles are.
No.
Because that's usually right there in front of you. And that's usually your excuses around those obstacles. Well, I can't do this because. So you identify that obstacle, and then your action plan becomes very clear, because your action plan is all about getting around this obstacle to achieve the big end result that you're looking for.
Exactly.
So it's very practical. I like that. Wow, this is exciting.
Well, it's practical, but the other problem, and this is what I find with the people that do commit to what we do in our course and working with me and our other coaches, is those obstacles are right in front of your face, and that's why you haven't gotten over them or been willing to get around them. So that's one of the big issues. Like with a woman, or one of our coaches, she's been in our program for a while. She's in another level of the program now. And this obstacle now we realize has been coming up over and over and over again. So there's no way she can even look away from this now. And that's when you want to recognize, look in your past and go, okay, has this been coming up often? Do I notice this discomfort or this issue or whatever it is coming up a lot? And then you'll probably know that that's one of your main obstacles.
Yeah. Very interesting. And I like the I like the philosophy behind it, but I also think it's very practical, and it's definitely creating some results. What are you working on right now, Jennifer, that has got you really excited, maybe that you'd like to share with our listeners?
It's funny because I've been working on a lot of things for the last 5 years. I've had a lot of stuff. And one of the things I've done the last year is taken all of the amazing collaborations and some of their tools, and then the learnings I've had from high-end coaches and things. And I've just pulled everything in, and we've created this Business of Miracles course. And it is really years and years. Actually, in fact, it's a Gibson banding method we've licensed out. We brought that into our course. And that is 20 years of work with Beth and Neil, who were involved in the transformational world and doing a lot of different modalities and even teaching them. And they pulled out what was missing in these modalities and actually put it into this 18-session distinction course that I was talking about. So it's this course that basically you come in, you strengthen your mindset, like I said, your emotional maturity, and then you also get sales training, message training from me. You're getting, you get to focus on your purpose, packaging what you do. If you're in network marketing, how can you really niche in your network marketing company? We just really hone in on exactly what is going to support you. And then the intention is that you're creating results with money within 90 days. So it's a very, very powerful, very impactful space with lots of coaching, lots of support, wonderful community. I'm just in love with it. Like like finally, after all these years of working for the last 20 years, this is like my all-time favorite thing. It's just getting tons of results. So
that's perfect. And so that is a very powerful support system to benefit women who are working from home. And there's a lot of bad information out there. So if you can synthesize all of that and put it in a package that makes sense and fills in a lot of the gaps, wow, that's a powerful thing.
That's exactly what it's doing. That's actually, you put it so well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've had a lot of practice, but
yeah, it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, you've got a great framework there, and you've got some exciting things going on. How can our listeners find out more about you and what you're doing?
The best thing, we have websites and stuff, but my thing right now is just to get on the phone with people and talk to them about what, I'm so about the one. That's like a huge focus for me. So when I can get on the phone with one person and just hear what's going on in their lives, I can lead them in a direction that is going to support them, whether it's with us or with somebody else that I might know, or I just want them to succeed. And so my goal is just to talk and hear that. So the best way to get a hold of me is either through Facebook Messenger or through my email is Jennifer@quickeningmovement.com. And like I said, I do have a website, but we need to update it a little bit more. There's some stuff on there. You could go on quickeningmovement.com also, and you can see a little bit about us. But yeah, that's pretty much the best way to do it. And then you just schedule a time and we'll hang out for an hour.
Perfect.
Just get to know you. Yeah, that's how we do it.
Perfect. Sounds great. So there's different options. You can contact Jennifer on Facebook, Jennifer Lamprey. It's Lamprey. You can email her, or you can go to that website, quickeningmovement.com. She's got a great video there that really shares her passion. And I think you will enjoy it as much as I did. Jennifer, it's been a real pleasure. If you had to leave us with one final thought or motivational quote or anything you want to share, we'll give you the final word.
I think the most important thing is that you are worth everything. And it makes me emotional. Everything. So don't stop. Make it work. Do what you got to do to make your life freaking incredible.
I love it. Yeah, that's a great summary. Jennifer Lamprey is the CEO of Quickening Incorporated, a coaching, certification, and business development organization, mainly helping women working from home. Jennifer has run women's masterminds in San Diego, created mindset and performance programs for top athletes. We didn't even talk about top athletes. We'll have to talk about that sometime. But in the process, she has helped thousands of women to heal, to find their identity, to help them clarify what they want versus what they don't want, and all kinds of great things. Check her out online at quickeningmovement.com. Jennifer, it has been a real pleasure to have you on Rebelpreneur Radio today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.